After everything that had happened tonight, his concern was for me. And I'd treated him like total garbage during our breakup. I was the worst person alive. I fished my keys from my purse and unlocked my door. Don't worry about me. Worry about Neil and Sophie.
I will, I swear,
he said, following me into the apartment.
But let me worry about you for a bit, as a distraction.
Rosa sat on the sofa, sporting her I had the day off style. Giant floppy bun, oversized t-shirt, and printed PJ pants. She also wore the most shaming expression a human could ever conjure up without additional props or facial features. What's he doing here? I could have chilled an entire wine cellar with the tone of her voice. In all the commotion of the evening, I hadn't thought to let Rosa know that Ian and I were back together. Not that I should have to check in with my friends before making life decisions for myself. And certainly not tonight. I slipped my coat off and Ian caught it for me. It's a long story, I said, knowing that wouldn't be the end of it. Condense it for me. Because the last time we talked about him, you two weren't a thing. Well, now we're a thing again. I wanted to snap at her, but I couldn't summon up the energy to do that. Besides, I couldn't usually stay mad at Rosa for more than 2 seconds anyway. Without her, I wouldn't have survived New York. I went on. Like I said, it's a long story. I promise I'll tell you every detail once he's not around and it's not so awkward. Awkward like talking about someone while they stood right behind you. But right now, I'm exhausted.
Her boss's family was dealt a blow tonight,
Ian began, and I heard the clipped edge of annoyance he tried to hold back.
Penny's had to deliver some clothes to the hospital for them.
Rosa backed off. She was protective of me, but not so protective that she would be an a-hole about it. I did think it was a little early. The clock in the car had read 12:25. I hadn't believed it. It definitely doesn't feel early, and I definitely can't feel my toes.
All right,
Ian said, taking decisive action.
Let's go get you a hot shower to warm up.
I became keenly aware that I was not only the youngest person in the room, but I was also the person trusted least with making decisions for herself. Still, it was nice to be so cared about, even if it was a little annoying. Okay, let me get my bathrobe, though, and you can put your coat in my room. If we could find a place for it. How I Met Your Mother had given me some seriously unrealistic expectations about how much apartment a 20-something New Yorker could afford. Our landlord claimed our apartment was 700 square feet, but they had to be some pretty small feet. There was very little actual room in my room. I flipped the switch and turned on the white Christmas lights that gave a much more pleasant glow to the room than the bare bulb fixture that shared the same outlet. I'd thrown the bulb out and never looked back. I should have thrown the Christmas lights away too, so Ian wouldn't see the conditions I'd been living in. I'd been spending every weekend since we broke up in a little nest made of blankets and sadness. Not exactly the way you want your recent ex to know how you were handling the situation. It wasn't that I wanted Ian to think I didn't love him, or he meant so little to me that I hadn't grieved our relationship, but I would have liked to retain some sense of dignity. God, I hoped I hadn't left empty candy wrappers in the bed. I leaned over and tried to straighten up the tangled blankets a little bit, as though I could totally play it off like the bed was made the whole time.
Stop. I'm not going to judge your cleanliness,
he said behind me, his voice gentle and tired.
I'm just glad to be here.
I would need that assurance every day for the rest of my life. That should have felt more embarrassing than it did. I turned to him, barely trusting my voice. Yeah? You are? I just had to check. He leaned down to kiss me, and I opened my mouth under his. Being this close should have made up for lost time, but it only made me feel our separation more. I held on to him to reassure myself that he was real, and really standing here with me. I pulled away first, to look him in the eye. I don't ever want to break up again.